Hi, I'm Renaud Pelletier. I'd like to talk a little bit about how rods have evolved in the last 40 years since I've been bass fishing. Back in the early 1970s when I started seriously fishing, all we had were fiberglass rods at that time. The old pistol grip type rods with real short handle pistol grips. These days you don't even see those anymore. Those fiberglass rods were very durable, you couldn't hardly break them, but they had zero sensitivity too. So it was, and plus fishing with just one hand on your grip, and at that time Texas rig worm fishing was really becoming the popular way to catch bass, and I'm telling you, you hook a decent bass, try to hold the rod with just one hand, it was extremely hard. A lot of times people would lose their rods overboard because it jumped right out of their hand. I've actually dove in and retrieved my brother's rod one time when that happened. But in the mid-70s to late 70s, graphite started becoming popular. I think the Skyline company was the first to come out with graphite rods, and a lot of guys bought those rods, and a lot of guys bought blanks and started wrapping their rods at that time because the finished rods were so expensive. But the sensitivity difference and the lightness of those rods made all the difference in the world. And it wasn't long after that that we started seeing more rods with extended handles so that you could cast with two hands and have more leverage on hook sets. So together with being graphite more sensitive and much better control of a fish when you hook them, they're far superior rods. I was fortunate in 1980 to become associated with the Loomis rod company, which was at that time just starting in Washington State. I qualified for the Classic that year, and they started sponsoring me that year with their line of graphite rods designed by Gary Loomis, who was a well-known rod designer in the salmon and steelhead industry, but he acquired some good people with his company who were bass fishermen who helped him design the very best in graphite technology specifically for bass fishing. And since that time they have developed many lines of graphite rods, composite type graphites, starting with just straight graphite, then evolving to the IMX series of graphite, which was a higher modulus graphite fiber which had much more sensitivity. Those rods were the premier rods in the 90s, and then from there they went to the GLX series of graphite, which was an improvement still as superior graphite fibers became available. Loomis has always jumped right on that new technology and tried to incorporate those new fibers into their rod design, and also new resin systems for bonding those fibers to create a thin, lightweight, sensitive, but extremely strong rod. That has been the forefront of their technology. And so even today, since 2-3 years ago, they came out with a rod called the NRX series of graphite, which was and still is probably the ultimate in graphite technology, light and sensitive beyond belief until you fish with one. But just recently they have come out with this new series this past year called the E6X series, and it is designed as a price point rod that is much more affordable than some of the higher end graphites, but yet it has all the same qualities of lightweight and strength and sensitivity and a beautiful design. Most of them come with a split grip handle and all the different actions from worm fishing to spinner baits and topwater and spinning rods, all the spinning rod series from shaky head rods to drop shot rods to tube rods. So it's an excellent rod, and it's selling very well now, and I'm really happy to have been a part of some of the design of some of these rods.